then you can help those around you.
Well, in fact, when I went on an airplane, I went on an airplane one time, and they said, yeah, put on your mask first, and then put on your kids, and if you have two of them, pick which one's your favorite.
Oh my goodness!
My both kids looked at me and said, "Pick me, Daddy, pick me."
You know what? The mom would, no matter how many kids she'd have, she'd get those oxygen masks.
Absolutely. Hey, Kathy, I wanted to ask you, because one of the reasons that I wanted you to be the guest on the show is that you spoke at this charity function that we were just mentioning a few months back. And to me, the best part of your speech was when you said that you'd love to stay and talk for an hour, but you needed to come home to get home in time to take your daughter Chloe to her soccer game. And that really touched my heart, because that's the way I am with my family, where you got to put business second. And I'm impressed with your priorities, because no one ever said on his deathbed, "Gee, I wish I would have spent more time at the office." So how do you run a billion-dollar company and still make time for your family as well as yourself? I mean, my wife and I are already outnumbered, and we only have one child at home, and you've got 3 kids.
We actually have 2 additional kids living with us for a year, and 4 dogs. We're so outnumbered. But it's everybody's going through it, and it's difficult, but it's not impossible. It's back to that plan, and having a plan and a strategy. It's being intentional and really figuring out what your values are. And at different seasons of life, those values might shift. When our kids are young, I'm just not going to miss that. Does it mean I miss certain opportunities? Yes, there's certain business opportunities that I missed out on. I can't attend every friend's birthday party. I work with a team. I love sports. So the idea of working with a team for a common goal, that's exciting to me. I love that. We're a diverse group. And I love that too, because everybody's bringing a different background, different thoughts and opinions to the table. It makes for great debate, and it keeps us on our toes. It keeps us thinking. I love that. But when it comes to our core values, how are people being treated? What's going on in the factories? All of those details that are so important. We're on the same page. And we also believe you don't win when you cheat. And I can't stress enough, loyalty. Stay loyal to everyone you meet. You never want to step on anyone.
Yeah, you never want to burn bridges. I mean, I think that's personally, I think that's one of the major reasons for your success is you have very clean energy and high moral standards. I mean, you never hear any bad press with the name Kathy Ireland. Do you ever hear any bad press with that?
Absolutely not.
No. I was going to ask you, how do you set your boundaries?
Thank you. It's figuring out what's important to you, and then putting boundaries in place to protect those values and making it really clear. And yes, you need to treat people well because it's the right thing to do, but guess what? It's also really good for business, because when you slip, and we all do, we will all have times of slippage. When you're slipping down that ladder, the people you've hurt, they're going to be so happy to kick you further down. So it's so much better to make friends than to make enemies. And life is too short. It makes life better when you have those good relationships. It's important. But I really recommend, setting some firm boundaries. With our company, we look at the calendar 18 months ahead of time. And it starts with the kids, what's going on in their lives. And we fill in the calendar around their needs. And that works for us.
Well, I loved reading your analogy of people being either an anchor or an engine. Can you get into a little bit more depth on that?
Absolutely. I think it's important to, if you're not achieving your goals, it's important to evaluate, stop and look, why? And are you surrounding yourself with people who are anchors, who are weighing you down, or people who are engines, who are propelling you forward? And are you yourself an anchor, or are you an engine? And something I believe to be so true today more than ever, we are our own brands. And some people will say, what, I'm a person, I'm not a brand, what is this? But no, you are your own brand, and every experience with you is a lasting brand impression. And the question is, what kind of a brand are you? Are you cranky? Are you, do you not get along well with others? Do you bring your drama with you? Are you perpetually late? Or do you consider showing up 5 minutes early, being on time? Are you solution-oriented? Do you work well with others? All of those things. And it's something that we need to constantly evaluate and make changes as needed.
I like that. The anchor and the engine. If you ask my wife, I guess it depends on what day. Sometimes I'm an engine, and sometimes I'm an anchor. Mark, do you have any questions?
I do. Kathy, thanks so much for being on. And you mentioned having a plan and being intentional. And I just wonder, because you're right, it's one thing to write out goals, but so oftentimes you write goals and you set them in a drawer and they don't come true because you don't have a plan really. And I just wonder, what do you do on a daily basis? Maybe do you have a routine you go through every morning maybe to kind of decide how you're going to achieve your goals for the day? I'm curious.
I do. And my first goal, the first thing I do to achieve those goals is work intentionally to honor those priorities, to put those priorities first. And everyone's will be different, but mine is faith, it's family, and then it's being of service to our business. The minute I'm not honoring those, it's very apparent. My coping skills are out the window, stress is unmanageable, and I'm not very effective at anything. So I need to do that and be intentional. And as far as a plan, I recommend writing it down and to answer some key questions. I'll give you an example. When our son was 13, he talked about wanting to purchase a truck. So I asked him some key questions. It's like, okay, how much money do you want? Answer the how much. Be specific. And what are you going to do with the money once you have it? How are you going to get the money? Don't just dream about it and what you're going to do with it, but how are you going to get it? And then what's your timetable look like? When do you want to have this by? A dream without that strategy, without that timetable, that's delusional. Imagination without implementation is a hallucination, and we've got to be very intentional. But writing it down, being realistic, having that plan, don't limit yourself. Please don't let anyone put you in a box or say you can't do something. So often we would do things that were very unconventional in our business, and people would say, you can't do that. That's crazy. You can't start a brand with a pair of socks. And I would ask questions, why? And one of the big answers I got was because it's never been done before. It's never been done does not mean that it can't be done. Were there things that we did that some people might think of as a sacrifice? Sure. I mean, there were times in the early days of our brand when we slept in airports in an effort to save money, and some people think of that as a big deal. It's not a big deal. Whatever material things you have to give up to live your dream, it's not a sacrifice. It's a bold investment, and that bold investment made it possible for us to sell our 100 millionth pair of socks and then to expand our brand today as a company. I'm so proud of our team. I work with an amazing group of people.
Well, Kathy,
we design and market over 50,000 products, sold in over 50 countries. And it's I never had a family business, but today we have a business family. I believe when you treat the people you work with the way you would want your family members to be treated, there's no limit to what you can accomplish together.
Well, Kathy, I love the story about your son because it reminds me when my kids were little and they wanted to do a lemonade stand. I actually told him, I said, listen, I'm going to be your venture capitalist here. I'm going to take $10.
I love that.
Don't you love that? I took $10. I said, we're going to go to the store. We're going to buy all of the ingredients. And I said, the first 10, I was kind of, I was ruthless. I said, okay, the first $10 that comes into the door, and we lived on a great corner that it was easy to sell lemonade. I said, you pay me back the first $10. I'm not going to charge you high rate of interest, but I get paid the first $10 back, and then the rest of it you guys can have. And instilling those values in the kids has gone a long way, because they're very respectful of money right now.
I love that. That is so wonderful. I mean, what you taught your kids, what you gave them, you empowered them, and you showed them that you believe in them and that they can do it. And how'd they do with that lemonade stand?
They did very well. In fact, that's putting them through college. No, just kidding. But hey, Randy's got a question for you.
Kathy, you were honored, and my organization was honored, and your organization, but primarily you were honored several months ago, and we created over 75 scholarships of veterans coming back from war. It's very special. But my wife and I were very touched by your faith. Tim Tebow obviously is showing his faith in the marketplace, and a lot of us appreciate, and it resonates with a lot of us. Your organization gives back. How do you bring in faith to your organization, and how do you give back? Because certainly you've done a wonderful job of that over the years.
Well, thank you so much. Without my faith in the Lord Jesus, I would be a complete disaster. I just would. So I attribute the good things to his great grace and his amazing patience with me. I've made many mistakes and continue to, but I'm so grateful for that, for his unending grace. That's cornerstone in my life. I don't impose my faith on other people. Our team at work is made up of people of all different beliefs. They know my beliefs and are completely supportive and know what it is and how important that is to me. It's interesting, and that's a great question that you asked. I'm very mindful to not exploit my faith. We run a business and we sell things, and I would never want that to be misinterpreted. I never want to have anyone feel that way or be misled in any way. It is the most important thing in my life, and I'm absolutely not ashamed of it. And it's just part of who I am. So
well, the real question I have
with every decision.
The real question I have is, you're blessed to have a tremendous platform and significance in your life, and many listeners have great platforms of their own. You're talking about individual brands or company brands, and I think it's incumbent on all of us to give back and give back to their communities. And I really underscore what you've done, and I just wanted you to allude to that for a moment, how you've given back.
I'm extremely blessed when we're able, I mean, the fact that we're able to be in business today, so many people are out of work, and we don't take that for granted for one moment. And working with different organizations, whether it's JFK University, the United Way, the Alliance for Christian Education, the Elizabeth Taylor HIV/AIDS Foundation, it is researching great organizations, and I've been accused of being a control freak. It's important to me when we're getting involved with a nonprofit and encouraging others to do the same, to really find out what are these people doing. You can be wonderful people with great intentions, but maybe not be the best stewards or have the strongest business savvy, but perhaps they're willing to learn, to step up. Maybe there are people who will work with you and you can help make their nonprofit stronger. That's always exciting when those opportunities come up. But really doing the work, and looking through the books and finding out what's going on with these nonprofits and working with nonprofits who are getting great results. That's important. When we go into these communities, for example, with the home industry, going into High Point, North Carolina, I imagine that is incredibly disruptive for the citizens who live there to have people just traipsing through their town and traffic and all that that entails. So let's find ways to learn about the needs in that community, and let's get involved and give something back wherever we work, whether it's through the children, whether it's through furniture donation organizations that we can work with, but really learning about the needs of each place that we visit and giving back there. We have a skincare manufacturer in Israel, and being able to get minerals from the Dead Sea, how can we get without giving back? So finding organizations in Israel that are doing great work that we can work with, whether it's WIPSO or some of the other fantastic groups, Sheba Medical, that's important to us.
Well, Kathy, thank you so much for spending all this time with us. You know, I originally told your publicist, I said, we only need her for about 10 minutes, but I'm glad you blessed us with as much time as you did. We've been listening to Kathy Ireland, supermodel to super mom and super entrepreneur. And again, Kathy, thank you so much for being our guest today on The Best of Investing. And please visit us when you're back up here in Northern California.
Well, I look forward to it. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on the show with you. Thank you to all of you, Ed, Mark, Brian, and Randy. And Randy, congratulations to you and your company. I wish all of you the very best. And Ed, please give your gorgeous wife my best wishes.
I sure will. Thanks again, Kathy.
Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Listen, she's the only one who can call me Ed. My name's Edward, but she can call me Ed. Okay, we're going to have to cut to our first commercial break, so here's the first trivia question. We usually only, remember this is famous sitcom supporting actors. All right. We usually only saw the top of his hat over a fence. What was the name of the neighbor on the sitcom Home Improvement? The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. And by the way, it wasn't Kilroy. We usually only saw the top of his hat over a fence. What was the name of the neighbor on the sitcom Home Improvement? 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name